Hi guys, this is your back to basics 10 minutes abs. So we're going to go through everything from the very beginning for Pilates abs. So we're going to reset the whole body, find the correct alignment, talk about breathing, make sure we get the real fundamentals absolutely right, so that we can move up from that stage and progress with the good foundations beneath us. So it's a good place to start, or it's a good place to come back to if you've been practicing Pilates for a long time, but maybe feel like you've forgotten some of those core fundamentals. It's super important to get the right muscles working when you're doing ab work and not use some of the bigger muscles and forget about some of the little ones. So we're going to just remind ourselves of that by going through this little series. So we're going to start ourselves on our back. Now, if you've got a Pilates soft ball, then great. Otherwise, either a rolled up towel, or you can go without it for this, so it really doesn't matter. So grab the ball now if you've got it. I'm just going to grab mine over here. Okay, so it should be half deflated, so it wants to feel really squishy like this one here. Okay, from there, we're going to take ourselves down onto the mat. We're going to come into Pilates Rest position. Okay. So once we've got ourselves down, we're just going to talk through alignment in this position. So we're going to work from the toes and go all the way up to the head. So we've got our feet and knees in line with our hips. So you imagine you've got train tracks coming down from those hips. They're all nice and in line. We've got a nice neutral pelvis, and the way we find neutral pelvis is by putting our hands into a diamond shape onto the lower tummy. So your fingers are pointing down onto the pubic bone, and your thumbs are up near your belly button. Now what I want you to do is I want you to imagine you've got a marble inside that diamond, and you're trying to tip that marble all the way to your fingertips, and then you're going to tip it to your thumbs. So you're tilting the pelvis back and forward to find the two extremes of the pelvic movement. Okay, so you're flattening your back off behind you and then scooping the tailbone up. Do a couple of these just to find out where our neutral spine is. So what we do is we slowly reduce the range of motion until we feel like we're about halfway, and we've got that marble just in the middle of that diamond in our hands. It should be just staying still now. So you've been using a sort of spirit level technique. Okay, from here, we're going to work our way up to the ribs. I want you to really soften down the ribs. So melt those ribs down into the tummy. I want you to pop your hands on top of your ribs and take some breaths with me. We're going to take a breath in through the mouth, in through the nose, sorry, and out through the mouth. Have a feel into what those ribs are doing as you're taking those breaths. Close your eyes and give it some thought. So in Pilates, we want to make ourselves feel as though we're breathing laterally out into those hands, holding your ribs either side. So I want you to feel the hands expand as you breathe in, and then deflate as you come out. So it's in through the nose and out through the mouth. And as you're doing this, you can just think about that little connection between the ribs and the rest of the tummy. So I want you to feel like the ribs are being drawn towards the hips very gently by a set of springs. So from the hip bones to the bottom of the ribs, there's a set of springs that's just slightly pulling those ribs down, melting them into the mat, okay? And you should be able to breathe in this position. So you're taking your breath in, melting the ribs down a little bit more on the exhale. One more time, inhale, melt those ribs down. Okay, right, let's think about that lower tummy activation now. So I want you to put your fingertips on the bony bits of the hips, bring them in by an inch, and then bring them down by an inch. Okay, down here is where we want to feel that the tummy gently contract. So what we're going to do to achieve that is we're going to imagine that we're putting on a tight pair of jeans and they don't quite fit, or a tight pair of trousers. So you're trying to do up that top button, and you're just ever so gently pulling that tummy inwards, and you should feel it tighten up under those fingertips. The other way of achieving this contraction is through pelvic floor. So we can do the same thing, but this time we're going to imagine that pelvic floor is like a lift, like an elevator, starting down at the pubic bone, and it's rising as you lift it all the way up to the belly button. So you can take a breath in, and then exhale, draw that pelvic floor up, bring your pubic bone towards your coccyx, and you should feel, again, that little tightening up under the fingertips. Now, different people like to find get their core switched on in different ways. Some people like to use the tight pair of jeans technique. Some people tend to like to use the pelvic floor. I like to use a bit of both. But what we want to make sure we're not doing is bracing and gripping through the abs. It's not a sudden contraction where everything comes on. It's gentle, it's subtle, it's like 30%, and it's something you could hold for half an hour if you had to, okay? Right, from there, so we've done the tummy, we've done the ribs. Now we've got to make sure they're both connected. So think about shoulders. Shoulders are melting down into the mat. Arms are long next to your body, and shoulders are melting down. You've got nice smiley collarbones, and you've got a nice long neck, and you're looking straight up at the ceiling. Okay, from here we're going to test out the rib placement first of all. We're going to take arms above your head, and then from this position we're going to let those arms slowly fall down overhead and then back up. Okay, so what we're looking for here is the ability to keep the ribs down, not let them flare as the arms go back, okay? So watch my ribs. I'm going to let them flare for this one just to demonstrate what not to do. So the arms go over and the ribs pop up. You see the way the ribs are flaring way out the tummy and then back up and they pop back in. So now we're going to do it properly. We take a breath in, we exhale, we connect the ribs, float the arms back, and then inhale on the way up. Connect those ribs, exhale, inhale. Get that lower tummy switched on, exhale, inhale up, exhale down. Really exaggerate that breath pattern just to get yourselves used to it. So we're always doing the work on the exhale. The diaphragm is in the correct position in the tummy when we're exhaling to make room for the most useful or most the easiest contraction for the tummy muscles, basically. Okay, we'll do a couple more here. So breathing out as you go down, breathing in as you come up. So that whole tummy is connected now, all the way up from pelvic floor, all the way through to those ribs. One more here, breathing in and out. Good. Okay, right, now let's focus a bit more on lower tummy. So we're going to practice some pelvic tilts. So all we're going to do here is we're going to flatten the back off and then lift it back up. So I want you to imagine you've got a little blueberry under your lower back, okay? It's a tiny little gap you've got there to get your neutral spine. You've got that blueberry under there, and I just want you to connect through the abs like we did when we were putting on that tight pair of jeans and lifting the pelvic floor. Melt the ribs down, and then I want you to squash that blueberry. So tip that pelvis, and then release. So we're tipping that pelvis and releasing. So you're squashing the blueberry under your lower back, and then lifting the lower back off the mat again into neutral. Okay, so here we're just practicing that little hip movement and starting to gently work into the lower abs with these pelvic tilts. So we can start increasing that motion just slightly with the breath. So as you squash the blueberry, you exhale, and then inhale as you release. So as you squash that blueberry, I want you to really feel like you're pushing that lower back quite hard into the mat, and it's going to really activate through those lower abs. So we exhale for 5 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. Good. Okay, right, from there the abs should feel like they've warmed up a little tiny bit. We're going to bring some leg movements in now. So we're going to start with a little hip twist move. So we're going to take your right knee, the foot's going to stay on the floor, and you're going to let it fall out to the side and then draw it back in. Now this is all about lower pelvic stability, basically, so your trunk. What you want to imagine is that you've got a spirit level across the hips, and that bubble in the middle doesn't move at all as the leg comes out. So everything else in the body is staying still as the leg folds in and out. Imagine you've balanced a cup of tea on that static leg and you're not going to spill a drop. So that left leg has got to stay absolutely still. Now we're going to bring in some breathing. So inhale and exhale, draw the leg back in. Inhale and exhale. Place your hand on your ribs. Give yourself some feedback. Have a think about how those ribs have got to stay melting down as that knee moves in and out. One more on this side. Good. Now let's try the other side. We're going to do 10 here. So it's really slow and controlled here, okay? We're really getting back to basics. Five more here. Relax those shoulders. One more. Good, okay, right, last little move here. We're going to try some scissors. So we're going to float one leg up into tabletop. This is your tabletop. So think about your shin as your nice flat surface that you've got your tray of drinks balanced on. You've got a right angle at the hips and you've got a right angle at the knee. You're going to deepen that lower abdominal connection, really connect into those lower abs, get those ribs connected. Take a breath in, and then we're going to exhale and float the second leg up. Okay, so in this position, we've still got a small gap under the lower back. We've got both knees at right angles, and we've got right angles at the hips. From this position, we're going to do some little toe taps. Well, actually, no, we're going to start with placing one foot down and then the other, and then we're going to go into toe taps. So we're going to go down, down, up, up. So breathe in, exhale, inhale, exhale. Good. So as you're cycling through this motion, check in with the rest of the body. Pelvic floor gently drawing up. Tummy drawing just gently in at the navel. Ribs melting down. Shoulders relaxed, not invited. And breathing. Okay, breathing is so important. You must breathe with each move. We're going to do another 3. 2. And 1. Rest those legs down. Okay, now we're going to finish off by just taking it up one level into toe taps. Okay, so one leg at a time, we bring ourselves back into that double tabletop, deepen that abdominal connection, float the second leg. From here, we are exhaling, inhaling, exhaling, inhaling. So this time we're just tapping the toe. So those lower abs have got to work quite hard here to keep everything else still, to keep ribs down, to keep shoulders relaxed, and to stop that lower back peeling away from the mat as the toe comes down. Don't let that back move, okay? We're going to be here for another 5. Make sure you're breathing. 4, 3, 2, 1. Take those knees, give them a little hug, rock yourself from side to side. Nice, well done guys. Okay, little stretch to finish. Going to bring the feet down to the mat, going to bring arms wide by your sides. Glue those knees and ankles together. Let the knees fold to one side while you look over the opposite shoulder. Take a couple of breaths there. And then roll to the other side. And I've just realised we didn't use the ball at all. We'll use the ball next time. Okay, bringing those knees back in together and fit yourself carefully up. Well done guys.